Hello. Crypto has retraced a bit in the last day of the weekend. Why is that? Probably is just regular movements, but there are two events that are kind of like counter to what we want, and they both have to do with regulations. The first one is the SEC under that old Grinch Gary Gensler that has denied Coinbase's rule-making petition, which means they are still going to treat everything as securities. Now, CoinDesk is going to challenge them in court. And more or less, the SEC is just kind of gaslighting at this point. So they rejected Coinbase's petition for cryptocurrency rulemaking, as we discussed earlier this week. And basically, they said three grounds. First, they argued applying existing securities laws to cryptocurrencies, but Gary Gensler, in an earlier congressional testimony, said none of these laws actually apply to cryptocurrencies, and Coinbase is going to use that against him because that was testified under oath to Congress, and if he's lying about that, he should go to jail, just like everyone else. They questioned the SEC's involvement in the crypto securities markets through regulatory measures. Lastly, they stressed the importance of preserving the SEC's discretion in settling its rulemaking priorities. So they do have, obviously making new rules would actually say that some cryptos aren't securities at least, and that would really hurt the SEC in its cases. So Gary Gensler is trying to drag this out as much as possible. He's probably under marching orders from Elizabeth Warren because Elizabeth Warren has her own agenda, and the SEC is probably part of that agenda. Now, Elizabeth Warren has gotten up to 9 senators to back her anti-crypto bill because she keeps on pushing the narrative that it's being used by terrorists. Is at least $1 of cryptocurrency being used by terrorists? Most likely, but $1 of everything is being used by terrorists, including at big banks like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo. I bet if you really look into their transactions, you would actually see some terrorist-affiliated money. And crypto is not the most of it. If you look at on-chain data, there's only $400,000 that's possible for the last couple of years that could actually be traced to terrorist organizations. And they're really turning up the heat. A couple of senators have even written to the DOJ to go against Tether, but the DOJ does actually have a lot of treasuries, and the DOJ has basically opened up with the FBI, and they are working in conjunction to track a lot of these things down. Plus, the Tether's basically agreed to freeze any account that the FBI wants them to freeze. So, I don't know. I think Tether probably benefits the FBI and the government more, so they're probably going to leave Tether alone. But, Gary Gensler is stalling probably from orders from above. And this decision to deny the SEC's rulemaking, to deny Coinbase's rulemaking, and force Coinbase to basically take them to court for what they're doing is bad overall for cryptocurrencies by a long shot, because it means there might be more BS cases coming up against crypto. And I think some people see the writing on the wall that they might continue some of their cases. They might appeal some of their cases, and that could have dire consequences for crypto, especially since Elizabeth Warren is intent with her rulemaking on shutting down all of crypto. I don't think any of that will actually happen, but I think the combination of Elizabeth Warren getting 9 senators, by the way, that's like 10% of the upper chamber. I don't think it's going to pass the lower chamber. Don't think it has any chance in the lower chamber, but that's like 9. That's like pretty much 10% of Congress that will support Elizabeth Warren. And her chorus is growing as she has been able to convince several senators that crypto is used for terrorist financing, which it's primarily not. So a lot of lies going on there, and we kind of need to stop this wave. We need to write to the senators, write to the congressmen to go against that. It is bipartisan, so both Democrats and Republicans are actually jumping on her bill because they want to fight terrorism, fight Hamas, do whatever, but crypto is not the right target. So those are two bad things that could have actually be helping this retrace. Solana phones are selling upwards of $3,000. That's right, $3,000. They were originally like $600, but it's because people want that bonk money. If you look at eBay recently, one is listed for $5,000. Now I think it's pretty stupid because I personally think realistically, most people already have phones, and if you're just buying it for the bonk, then you can probably just spend $5,000, like on bonk and not buy the phone because the phone's not really all that useful. I mean, they weren't able to sell the phones for $600 before, and now it's like $3,000 just because they're getting bonk. Bonk actually has stopped pumping about 2 days ago, and it risks a large retracement. But my guess is if they're still pumping the price of this phone up, that means people are still interested in buying the phone for the bonk, so they might push up bonk even further. Right now, it's kind of stalled. It's like $1.2 billion market cap. But, like tomorrow, the next day, they could push it up even further on a weekday, especially if the price of the phone, phones are selling for over $3,000. So if you're buying that for the bonk, you're paying a pretty big premium for bonk, and for it to be worth it, you're going to need that bonk to actually go up. I welcome bonk to go back up, even though I don't have any bonk, because if bonk goes up, things like SNEC will go up too, because they kind of follow each other on up. And that just shows me that there's way more money than I thought in these meme coins, which I kind of believe there is than what I originally thought, even at this stage of the market. But right now, I would not be buying these phones for $3,000. So if I really wanted the bonk, I could just buy bonk. Maybe they don't really know how to buy bonk. You can just swap for it on any Solana swap. You don't need this phone. And plus, the phones are actually sold out. You don't need to pay like a 500% premium on these Solana phones just to get bonk. You can just swap for bonk on the exchange. And there's a couple of places you can buy bonk at, including Coinbase. So there's no actual reason to buy these phones right now for anything more than $600. It's not like they're going to run out of bonk for you to buy, because they're not. It's all there, has a really large supply. It's going to be there for a while. Maybe they want to have this phone as a collector's item, but there's a lot of them out there. So I don't think it's going to be worth all that much. The rest of this segment is going to be dedicated to FTX. They're going to plan their bankruptcy, and they're going to submit their plan. And one of the reasons they want to end their bankruptcy really fast is because they are losing, get this, $53,000 an hour in bankruptcy. You're like, how the hell are they losing money if they're bankrupt? Well, bankruptcy is a lot of times just reorganization, and they're paying their lawyers a lot of money. So that's right. If you are an FTX victim, they're paying your victim money to those fat cat lawyers. $53,000 an hour worth of fat cat lawyer funds. It's a lot of money. $53,000 an hour, that's over $1 million a day of your money going to lawyers instead of being paid back to you, which is why you're going to get pennies on the dollar. And you're definitely not, if you have assets in Bitcoin and FTX, you're definitely not getting 100% of the value, because get this, the debtors are always going to receive reimbursement based on what Bitcoin was when FTX fell apart, or about $17,000. So they want to pay you the amount that crypto was at the bottom rather than right now. And obviously, it's more than twice what it was at the bottom. So at most, you're getting 35 to 40% back. It probably won't be that much. You stack the 70% on top of it, and dollar value-wise, you're going to be getting back maybe 20, 30% of what you put into FTX. That looks to be like the agreement that they're coming out with. And if they don't end bankruptcy soon, you might get even less, because you know what? That $53K an hour, every day you're bleeding $1.2, $1.3 million out the ass to these lawyers. And that's less for people to actually cash in on. In a year or two, if they don't end this, there won't be any money left, because the law firms will have taken it all. So yeah, you're going to be basically getting your money back based on when Bitcoin was $17,000 instead of $41,000. How do you like them apples now? Yeah, you have been screwed. And after this, I do think there's people that are interested in buying FTX assets and restarting the exchange. Personally, I think they should have to give you the assets back at whatever the price it is at the current moment, but they're not going to do that. And this could be caught up in years and caught up in law in court in years. So getting 20-30% back may be the best you can actually scrounge. I don't know if I would depend on getting anything back. I mean, I know that some of those programs have started opening up to the Earn program and stuff, But this is just a big slap in the face that we knew was coming to FTX investors, because they're not giving you back the actual amount of Bitcoin. They're just giving you a cash equivalent. But the cash equivalent is when Bitcoin was $17,000. And my guess is they're going to try to find a way to pay you at the altcoin bottom as well. If you're an altcoin investor in FTX, screw you as much as possible so they can have all that money to pay $53,000 an hour to the greedy lawyers that are representing them. Remember, the lawyers representing SBF, some of them are getting paid $2,000 per hour to actually represent them. I think SBF did lose the case that his personal lawyers would actually come out of his what would come out of FTX's fund. He has to pay for that himself. I don't really know how he's going to do it, but the debtors are going to receive pennies on the dollar, like we said. So the most you can bet on is probably 30 or 40% reimbursement from FTX. Most likely it's going to be around 25% or even less. And it might be several months or maybe a year or two before you can get your funds. And by that time, Bitcoin could be over $100,000 and you're getting reimbursed based on $17,000. That is our law system at work, folks. And that's how they screw us for those rich fat cat lawyers. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.